Good morning. Time to disabuse you of the notion I'm a Kent Hovind sycophant, in case any of you were under that impression, and try to get ready for work on time. So, let's cough. Somebody commented once about my coughing in my videos. I'm a lifelong asthmatic with severe allergies. I'm fighting an uphill battle there. I'm doing what I can to try to keep my coughing down during videos. Maybe this one point should have been made in the previous video, but it didn't, so here we go. Kent Hovind denies the apostasy, which was prophesied in the Bible. Just in case any of you don't know, while I'm finding the scripture, I'll describe the apostasy. For over 1,000 years, there was no true prophet of God on the earth. There was no church of God. And this matters because Kent denies it, and this video is about things that I understand differently or think Kent is wrong about. Let's see. Amos chapter 8 verses 11 and 12 say, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it." Let's see. So this is prophesying a time with no hearing of the word of the Lord. And just in case anyone's saying, but that just means some people stop believing. It doesn't mean a complete loss of the church. If there was still somewhere on the earth a true Christian that was following God all the way, a true apostle, which I showed in my previous video, is an indispensable, living apostle is an indispensable part of the church, then they would be able to find it, and it would not talk about them running from the east to the west, sea to sea, and not finding it. It's also in the New Testament. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. We'll start at verse 2. "That ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand." Alright, so the people Paul's writing to were thinking that Christ's second coming was on the verge of happening. It was this close. Good, the tap dancing dog is out of here so you can hear me better. Verse 3, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." Alright, so, Christians out there, when did the falling away happen? Or was Paul wrong? So, the Latter-day Saint understanding of this is sometime about 100 AD. It's a little bit vague because we don't have perfect records of everything back then. About 100 AD, plus or minus a lot of years, but not thousands of years. The last apostles were killed off and or taken from the earth. John was never killed because he received a transfiguration from the Lord. And he is still on the earth today. He was promised, but at one point the wickedness became too great. Nobody wanted an apostle, and he was taken until it was time to send him back. He was made not immortal yet, but amortal. So he doesn't age anymore, but he will still need to be changed in the twinkling of an eye before his final judgment. Alright, now, next thing that I want to cover in this video is the words all beginning first. They can definitely mean the beginning of first of the whole universe. But they don't always. And there are some times when Kent Hovind looks at the Bible and sees those words and thinks it means the whole universe, when it means all of a smaller, narrower thing. Alrighty, let's start off with, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Kent Hovind is a believer in ex nihilo creation. That's a Greek word that means out of nothing. So there wasn't even matter existing, and then God made matter appear out of nowhere. But the Bible doesn't say that. In fact, the word is bara, the Hebrew word for create in Genesis, and that means to work with something. You're organizing and creating with existing material, like if you cut wood to the right size to build a house, that's bara. Alright. Yeah, so because of that, Kent Hovind and I would have very different answers to an atheist saying, but the stars are billions of light years away. And so that proves that the universe and this earth are billions of years old. Kent's answer is basically God can make things look old. Kent's answer to this is a reasonable answer. It's not the one I would give, but it's a well thought out answer in this subject at least, or this question. But since my understanding is based on what that Hebrew word bara means, and other revelations God has given where it's made clear that he organized the existing material, I would say, yeah, the universe is infinitely old. When it says God made things so many thousands of years ago, it's talking about just this planet and solar system. Maybe something else close to us, but not the whole universe. Alright. In the book of Matthew, one of the many times that the Pharisees and or Sadducees, in this case it was the Pharisees, tried to trick Jesus into saying something for which they could kill him. They did the death penalty a lot more back then, including for things that an American would now say are covered by his First Amendment freedom of speech and freedom of religion. Let's see. But on this verse I'm about to read, I think Kent Hovind misinterprets the verse, but he's not like opposite of a good conclusion from it, or he's got some good, he's misinterpreting the use of this word, but he's still got some good points to be made about this subject. And it says, well, background. The Pharisees were asking Jesus about divorce, because the law of Moses has details about how to divorce, what to do to divorce. They were hoping Jesus would say something that would get them to be able to say, ha ha, he's worthy of death now, time to stone him. Okay. Verse 4, and he answered and said unto them, have ye not read that he which made them in the beginning made them male and female? Alright, Kent sees the word in the beginning on this verse and thinks that it is the whole universe. No, They asked him, the Pharisees, asked Jesus Christ a question about marriage and divorce. Well, they were asking about divorce, which is related to marriage because a single person can't get divorced. So there had to have been a marriage. There had to have been a hypothetical marriage, even if you're not talking about two actual people getting divorced, but just the principle. But one funny thing about this, he's just talking here about the beginning of of marriage, the first marriage, but the Latter-day Saint understanding, which I'll cover more in another video, is that human were physically created first before the animals. So, yeah, Kent's more right than he would want to admit to. If you were here in front of me and heard me give him credit for backing up scriptures unique to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he probably wouldn't like that. But Kent did back up the Pearl of Great Price there. Alright, so we talked about that. And in Genesis chapter 3, I wrote it down here. Yeah. Verse 20. It says, "And Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living." Alright, here's another example of Kent seeing a word and thinking it means the whole universe. And I strongly disagree. When it says Eve is the mother of all living, she is the mother of all living on this planet, being the first human female. Created uniquely, not the next stage of evolution from half man, half ape, which according to evolutionism is the black race, and they're wrong about that, but that's the way the evolutionism story goes. Now, uniquely created, and she's the first of all on this planet. There's another thing we can get out of this. The Lord might be trying to teach women with this verse that they can be motherly. That's a thing that's there for women to do, that they can do very well. Even if they are infertile or unmarried and obeying the law of chastity, they can be motherly to all people who need some motherly love. Now, one wrong conclusion Kent comes to, because of his misinterpretation of this verse, is that there is no life on any other planet. All the billions and trillions of planets and solar systems and galaxies out there in this universe, Kent Hovind says, nope, not life on any single one of them, because it says all in this verse. The Bible does not clearly state there is life on other planets. In modern revelations God's given, it's crystal clear that God's made other planets and populated them. But if we're just talking about how Kent is wrong about the Bible, he's accusing the Bible of saying something it doesn't say. The Bible never, ever says that there is no life on other planets out there in this vast universe. I'm confused by Christians who are very dogmatic about this idea because they're discounting God's power if God could not put life on the other planets too. Alrighty, and good. Related to this, alright. I'm trying to not make this video me denouncing all false doctrines or talking about all differences between the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and all other Christians. But, and I've watched a lot of Kent Hovind videos, but sometimes I'm trying to remember now, was this one thing something Kent said or somebody else said? But the next thing I'm bringing up, if Kent did not talk about this specifically, it is in the same category of misinterpreting the word first all, or first all, or beginning to mean the whole universe. And that is in the book of Acts. One of the many weak accusations against the Book of Mormon that I've heard is that the Christians were first called Christians in Antioch in the book of Acts. The book of Acts takes place after the crucifixion and before the apostasy, so after 300 AD, after 33 AD, and a few decades after that. But the Book of Mormon has people called Christians like 100 and something BC. 100 and some, about a little bit over 100 something BC. And you see, that proves the Book of Mormon wrong, because that's a contradiction with the Bible. Let's see, I took the time to note the verse here in Acts. And when he had found them, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church, and taught much people, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. This verse does not disprove the Book of Mormon, because it is the first time in that region of the world, to the knowledge of the human writing this book, that the Christians were called Christians. It's first in that smaller area. Now, some Christians act as if Acts 11:26 says, and the Lord came to Paul and said, thus saith myself, this is the first place in all of world history anyone's been called a Christian. It doesn't say that. A human wrote this with inspiration from God, but still, the human that wrote this was not God. There's limited understanding he had. And Antioch was the first place in that region of the world to the knowledge of the author that the Christians were called Christians. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. You have a good day.